Omniscience, picking up a victory there. So looking to progress to 8-0 in this round. Up against Wesley Hickman playing Izzet Prowess. So yeah, let's see if Zachary can run it back.
For sure, yeah. I'm going to name this as the key matchup of the weekend. Izzet Prowess against Azorius Omniscience. These are the number 1 and 2 deck. Granted, it's pretty distant, 1 and 2. Izzet Prowess is by far the most popular, whereas everything else is clumped together. But a lot of the sharp players, like Zachary Keeney, you know, super accomplished player at the very highest level of competition. A lot of these sharp, experienced players have brought Omniscience. Got to figure that they've honed this Izzet matchup to something that they're pretty comfortable with. So expect to see this one a lot. And if Omniscience can indeed be even or favored against Izzet, then it really bodes well for the players who brought this and made it to day 2.
Yeah, it does indeed. And I believe Azorius Omniscience, there are around 100 players playing it, whereas Izzet Prowess is around 330-ish. So
yeah, so that really puts it in perspective for you. It's quite a big difference.
Kicking things off for Zachary Keeney. He's got the Roiling Dragonstorm. Gonna draw a couple cards and ditch in a couple into the yard.
Sometimes when you hear numbers like that, you really put it in perspective. It's like, wow, there's like 1,500 copies of Corey Steelcutter out there on the floor. Like, I couldn't even find one for my personal collection.
Do you need one? I think I opened 2 recently, so.
Stock up too. I couldn't afford that one, as I got to crack more packs of Ether Drift.
Oh no. Some great cards being released recently, shaking up the metagame here. You love to see it. Founding the Third Path hits the board now for Zachary. Gonna mill himself.
So Founding the Third Path is a one of. It is a totally passable card. You know, this deck is interested in milling itself. But additionally, Founding the Third Path is part of the actual killing blow when you assemble the Omniscience combos. That's why you see it in one copy.
Yeah. So explain the loop to me, because Founding the Third Path, you use the read ahead ability to exile something and then you keep recopying it, or?
The real key is that Chapter 2, target player mills 4 cards. So here you see Zachary's going to cast it early in the game to develop. He's going to mill himself, right? But when you have Omniscience, you're going to chain card draw spells till you've drawn a big portion of your library. Then you can start looping Meringue River Regent to return Founding the Third Path and another copy of Meringue River Regent. Then you can start pointing the Chapter 2 at your opponent and say, okay, I'm going to mill you out in one shot and never give you another turn.
That's so rude. Kind of cool, though.
All of that being said, you don't really have to remember that if you're playing against the Omniscience deck. We just have to go by what you laid out for us earlier, Ailey, which is if they have Omniscience on the battlefield, it's probably not going to go well for you. They're just going to take a bunch of really unfair game actions, draw a million cards, decimate your board, and then you're going to lose one way or another.
I do believe you said that earlier, Reed. So give yourself credit where credit is due. Yeah, Omniscience on the board, someone's having a bad time. So as things stand, we have one otter. The other got dispersed. Here's Slick Shot Show Off. Hits the battlefield. So I don't believe it has been plotted. Are we gonna get some damage in here from Wesley Hickman's side of things? Yes, we are.
A lot can hinge sometimes on the presence or absence of the actual card Omniscience, which I believe Zachary does have one. Is that the 5th card in on the bottom row in his graveyard? Is that an Omniscience? Or maybe that's a Moment of Truth.
That's a Corey Steelcutter, the one with the more black on it.
So I'm looking at Zachary's graveyard.
Zachary's graveyard.
Yeah,
I think that is Omniscience, yeah.
Okay. So in some ways it's a race, because in game 1, before there's a lot of counterspells and graveyard hate coming off the sideboard for the Izzet deck, it's kind of just, hey, I'm going to deal damage to your life total and you're going to try to set up your combo, and let's see, who can get there faster. Granted, there's some nice interactive pieces like this temporary lockdown. But for the most part, it's like, yeah, if Zachary hits an Omniscience like we saw him do last round, he can win really quickly. If he's struggling to find one, then he's going to be hemorrhaging life total and really, stressed out about the way the game is going as he seeks to fill his graveyard.
That temporary lockdown nabbed everything on the board, essentially. So now we're going to see into the Floodmaw, target that. We get a fish here for Zachary. And a bunch of triggers as Wesley Hickman gets back his critters.
Not sure if you could hear at home, but we just had one of our big side events announce the top 8 over the loudspeaker, just kind of all contributing to the environment of excitement here, because it's not just the regional championship. There's tons of other great stuff going on in the room.
Yeah, so go check it out, SCG Con. Google it. I'm not entirely sure of the URL at the moment, but take a look. Indianapolis is the next event on May 30th, so hopefully we'll see you there. Come hang out. All right, Fish, I believe in you. In my head, this is headcanon, that fish is the same every single game. It's the same fish. We can name it. It's legendary.
It's just makes the laps around the pond.
Yeah.
Comes back. Okay.
That's why, he's gifted between tables as he leaves the battlefield. Then he goes to the next one. Sir Fish. Let's go with that. It is not Nemo, director. Although they do have a hard time finding him, I will say that. No! How dare you take away the gift that you gave?
See you next time, Nemo. See you next time, generic non-copyright infringement Nemo.
Oh, no. Okay. Right. So, who won that game? It was Zach, right?
That was, I believe, Wesley just attacking for lethal.
Okay.
Yeah, unless Zach showed something, flashed something from his hand, like I'm going to combo off next turn. But yeah, Zach tried his best to keep his head above water, but Wesley, even through the temporary lockdown, able to rebuild a second, flurry of creatures to attack. And Zachary, it turned out, I did confirm it was Omniscience in his graveyard, but it seemed like he was not able to find the Abuelo's Awakening or in some other way unable to sufficiently set up for the combo. And yeah, that's the challenge of the matchup, is the Izzet deck just really doesn't give you a lot of time.
Certainly doesn't, but after sideboard, we do get a lot more time with cards like Authority of the Consuls, just putting the brakes on every creature that wants to go fast. So that'll be pretty good here for Zachary. Maybe extra copies of Beza coming into.
Right. So an interesting dynamic where if we framed game number 1 as a race, after sideboarding, things are going to slow down. That's not optional. There's a lot of forces from both sides of the battlefield or both sides of the table forcing things to slow down. So for one, Wesley's going to be bringing in hate against the Omniscience combos. That comes in the form of Soul Guide Lantern. Some people would be Ghost Vacuum, Disdainful Stroke, Spell Pierce, Negate, Smattering of Permission Spells. Awesome. So now Wesley has opportunities and interaction points to not just die on turn 4 or 5 to the combo.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Zachary has to respect that. So he's like, I'm not just going to race towards a naked turn 4 combo where I'm going to get blown out and have no plan against a Spell Pierce or a Soul Guide Lantern. So instead, he turns to more controlling options, Authority of the Consuls, Beza, Overlord of the Mistmoors, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So he's going to be playing more of a controlling role. Now, that is not to say the combo is not a big part of the game, because it's going to impact, of course, the construction of both players' decks and the way they play. So Wesley Hickman might have to make judgment calls of, hey, I'm not going to play that extra creature. I'm not going to press my advantage and attack your life total because I want to hold up Disdainful Stroke on this turn. That matters. That changes the dynamic and the pacing of the game as well.
Think we'll see Voice of Victory again? That was pretty clutch in the previous
It's
round.
very clever. It's very, you know, sort of tricky and can catch opponents unawares. As I I started to say the last time we saw it on the battlefield, I don't really envision Zachary attacking for 20 damage. Certainly not one or two or three at a time with Voice of Victory. So it's really more of like, can I put this onto the battlefield and make your negates and disdainful strokes look silly?
Yeah.
And it might be something you want to do. I don't think it would be like sort of my plan A game plan, but maybe something that I have in my range or keep in my back pocket to keep people guessing.
It's an insurance policy for Abuela's Awakening.
Yeah.
Wesley Hickman kicks things off by plotting our little birdie friend. Roiling Dragonstorm here for Zachary. Draw some cards. Can we ditch an Omniscience? Yes. No. Yes. No. Huh. Abuela's Awakening in the bin. So that tells me that there's redundant copies in hand, but no Omniscience.
What a great thing you just pointed out. I love to teach people, like if I do coaching or try to make an instructional video, like pay attention to those small details, right? You can gather so much information where, hey, it doesn't specifically matter what instants and sorceries might be in your opponent's graveyard or what land they played or whether they scry to the top or the bottom, but every single thing that happens in a game of Magic, especially at a high level, you can kind of use it as clues to figure out what's going on, what your opponent cares about, what they don't care about, what might be in their hand, what they're going to do next turn. And if you sort of train yourself to have that eye and attention to detail, it can really pay off.
Yeah, and I think that's also where familiarity and comfort with your own deck is so important, because then it allows you to focus on what it is your opponent's doing more so than what you're doing, because everything's just kind of like muscle memory.
Totally. That's exactly right.
Things looking good here for Zachary, though. Managed to spell pierce that Corey Steelcutter and get an Overlord of the Mistmoors impended, so a couple of birds of his own, insects, bugs, moths, whatever they are, to fend off this Slick Shot show-off. Corey Steelcutter number 2 hits the board. This time it won't be answered. And another Slick Shot. All right. Chomp chomp.
Can actually opportunity to trade against the Slick Shot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a really appealing block for Zachary.
Yeah.
Like, hey, here's my 2 tokens against your 2 creatures that are the best card in the matchup. So,
absolutely.
yeah. Wait, Wesley doesn't mind. He's pushing damage, but
nice.
Overlord of the Mistmoor is just so powerful.
I was hoping we would see this read. This is so sick. Scroll Shift targets the Overlord of the Mistmoors, exiles it, brings it back. All of a sardine, you have a massive body and extra insects on the board.
Amazing. I did not see that coming. Scroll Shift is a one of in
That's
Zachary's
so cool.
deck.
It's like the perfect gotcha out of nowhere. It's like, oh, you have no blockers. Ta-da! 3.
And I am rethinking my statement about not attacking for 20 damage here.
Hey, this is plan B, right? Maybe that Abuela's was all just a red herring. Oh boy, so now Wesley is in a bit of a predicament. Needs to find answers for pretty good board state here that Zachary's developed. These little monks are not so little anymore. 2 prowess triggers already. I think they're going to have to do a bit more work than that, though. Oh, do we have an answer for that? Nope. Into the Floodmaw will bounce the Overlord. 2 mana still up here for Zachary, so I wonder if he does have anything to say about what Wesley's doing. If he is holding on to Counterspell, what is it being saved for?
If Zachary's holding a Counterspell?
Yeah.
I mean, the evidence does not suggest that he has a Counterspell, because you got to think, like, Wesley doesn't have a ton of answers to an awakened Overlord of the Mistmoors, and if Zachary could nab one, one of those precious few answers, he would probably do so. But hey, I mean, maybe he says, hey, like, go ahead, bounce my Overlord. I'm going to wipe the board anyway, be at 14 with a stacked hand, and I'm A-okay with that.
Yeah. Temporary lockdown, such a good answer for tokens and token makers. Looking at you, Corey Steelcutter.
Oh, no.
And go.
Wesley with no play. That's where he really needed his stock up, but instead it looks like he is just gassed out and going to be at the mercy of this Overlord of the Mistmores.
Man, Zachary didn't even hesitate there. He was just like, yeah, I'm winning this game. Gross. It's 8 damage. Nope, 9. 10. How big is this guy?
6/6.
He's a 6/6, right. Why did I think he was a 4/6? No, he's a big one. And 2 more friends. Got any board wipes there, Wesley? Sunspine Links, I guess. Is it double red? All right, dig in. Opt. What can we find? Help.
I predict Wesley looked at his opt card. He said, "That's not enough to win the game."
No.
The problem is there is not any card that he could draw
Yeah,
that could keep him in this game. That was a dominant showing, and notably not the Abuelo's Awakening combo, right? Just I guess you would call that blue-white control.
Just good old-fashioned face beatdown. Sunspine Links in that situation would have kept him alive. But, alas, no kitty cat to be had. So we get a game 3, which is pretty cool. The matches have been so fun so far this weekend. And if you would like to be a part of the action, well, you can either get your butt here tomorrow or you can join us in Orlando. This is going to be at the end of August, so August 29 to 31st. It is going to be Spotlight Series Planetary Rotation. So Edge of Eternities is coming. It's going to be a real sweet set. Tezzeret's going to blow some holes in things, no doubt, with his laser beam hand. And yeah, it's going to be great. So Magic Spotlight Planetary Rotation happening in Orlando in August. Go check it out, starcitygames.com/SCGCon. Man, these guys are using their clocks so well in this tournament so far. They can go and grab a coffee. They could go and have a nap even. Games are going quick.
Yeah, for having played with Zachary Keeney a lot and also having watched him, he is a very quick, more importantly, just confident player, like very crisp in the way he navigates and knows exactly what he wants to accomplish on each turn.
I have noticed that about him, yeah. Like, there's not ever many thinks or hesitation, anything like that. If the hand sucks, he's going to send it back.
Okay, Zachary mulligans. Wesley has kept 7. We've mentioned how scary the Izzet deck can be when on the play with a good hand. That play draw representing a significant advantage in this tournament in general, with Izzet sort of defining the terms of engagement.
Yeah. I will say, though, in all of the Izzet matches we've seen, I haven't seen the Draycatcher much, if at all.
Great point. Now, that's a little bit of a, call it a selection bias, because we have been sort of intentionally not highlighting a lot of Izzet mirrors, and a lot of the reason that folks are bringing Draycatcher is that it's because it's one of the stronger creatures in the Izzet mirror. So, for example, when we put Wesley with Izzet against Zachary with Omniscience, Wesley might be sideboarding out his Drake hatchers or just not prioritizing it, scrying it to the bottom, whatever it might be. But if we had featured Wesley when he played, presumably one of his several Izzet mirrors that he's played today, then Drake Hatcher could have been a more important card. So just highlighting that as this is a big story of the tournament that has not gotten a lot of camera attention yet, but we'll get there. If we see the top 8 with Izzet mirrors being one of the big matchups that folks are playing and giving attention to, like Drake Hatcher, it's out there.
That's when it's time to shine. Wesley has faced 4 Izzet Prowess mirrors.
Okay.
Whee!
And 4-0.
Hell yeah. So
Wow.
whatever he's doing, it's working.
Look at that turn
Ooh.
3. He plays a second Corey Steelcutter, and that's it.
What?
That you would have thought that would be the best opportunity for a 1-mana spell. Anything. Sleight of hand,
Boo.
opt, burst lightning, I don't care. Just start making those monks, but he didn't have anything.
That is unacceptable. This isn't how he scripted this game.
I guess just his hand is either reactive or it's like all cards that cost 2 mana.
That could be that, yeah. So let's see, can Wesley get some value out of these Corey Steelcutters? Okay, there's land 4. 3-drop, stock up. Okay, now we have to hit a second spell, right? Right? No. Phooey.
Okay. So that's
Counter?
really good. I thought Wesley was going to be crying there if he got his only spell pierced and had to pass another turn without double spelling. But he spell pierces back, which invites the question of, did he have that spell pierce last turn and he elected to conservatively not counter the Roiling Dragonstorm? I mean, I love that if that's the case. Really good discipline.
Phooey. Would love to have countered that, but alas, not to be this time around. So temporary lockdown will need an Into the Floodmaw to get it off the board again, so that Wesley can mount an offensive here against Zachary, who's doing a good job of not letting him do so at all. All right, what we got? 4 mana. Kitty!
Hey, that's
Hey.
your card. You've been asking for it. There's the Sunspine Lynx. So 3 damage right off the bat, not to mention 5/4 body, and any future life gain shenanigans are mitigated.
It's a good cat. It's probably a dead cat soon, but you know, it's done something. As Roiling Dragonstorm number 2 makes an appearance.
It also matches up pretty nicely because it doesn't get temporary lockdowned, and one of Zachary's answers to a bigger creature like that is as far as dispersal, but that's a painful way to do it.
Yeah, all right, just Authority of Consuls after the Roiling Dragonstorm. So any additional creatures will enter tapped and gain it. No, never mind, it's not going to gain him life, it's just tapping things. It would like to gain life, but the cat will say no. It's just one of those things you immediately forget, like, oh, Narset's on the board. I'm going to draw an extra card. No, you won't. I'm going to gain life. No, you won't. So Zachary doing his best to stem the bleeding here. If Wesley's able to have a crazy turn.
Ooh, Into the Floodmaw is one of the 2 cards that Wesley was looking at there, which certainly has interesting applications against the temporary lockdown, maybe even against the Authority of the Consuls, depending on his hand. But
yeah. Oh, okay. Well, if you want to get value off of the Steelcutter, you have to bounce the lockdown and then bounce Authority, right? But then, no, then the monks will still enter tapped. But you don't get the monks if you do it the other way around.
Soul Guide Lantern, meanwhile, is going to protect against any kind of combo shenanigans, but it might not be combo shenanigans that Wesley has to worry about, as Meringue River region is now the biggest thing on the battlefield.
Yeah. Just a big old 6/7 hanging out. Gonna bounce a couple things. What, though, is the question.
So really tricky thing for Zachary to navigate here, because if he bounces the Sunspine Lynx, he's got 4 more damage on the menu when that comes back down. If he doesn't bounce it, then the Lynx could potentially kill him if Wesley has either Into the Floodmaw or Monstrous Rage or some combination thereof.
Yeah. Huh, okay. Kitty gone. All right. Does Wesley have anything to follow up with here? So doesn't have the mana to get the cat back out right now.
This is, I guess, probably Zachary's end step, where
Yeah.
Wesley's thinking you know,
right.
maybe he has that bounce spell. Well, just to recap, he was looking at it with sleight of hand. I don't know if he chose it, but Into the Flood Maw would certainly be an interesting card that he'd have to give some thought to if he does have it. Maybe he has Opt, maybe he has some kind of other instant speed play. And he does have Into the Flood Maw, so
Okay, cool.
a number of options here. Oh boy.
I love that. Okay, so temporary lockdown back in hand. Plenty of triggers on the stack now.
So, if Wesley bounces the Meringue River region and makes 2 monks, Zachary goes up to 10, and Wesley untaps with 2/2/2 prowess creatures.
Yes.
We know he has the Sunspine links for an additional 4 damage, and so it would take only a 1 mana non-creature spell in order for him to win the game.
Yeah. So there's the other Flood Maw. 1 more fish. 2 monks.
Okay.
Sick. I love that.
So now, Zachary is at.
Wait, he bounced the Authority?
He bounced the Authority, but the Authority was still on the battlefield when the monks came in.
So, Zachary gave the life, yeah. He was at 8, went up 2.
Right. So now, is there a way to get past the Meringue River region? Are you trying to go wide around it? Does your plan involve the Sunspine links?
Because, I mean, he's basically free to do whatever he wants, as Zachary is tapped out. Did he find whatever he wants to do? That is the question. So if I assume there's 2 spells, just based off of the counting. Cat to start? Sure. 4 to face, down to 6. Second spell, Monstrous Rage, that's got to be enough, surely. Block the biggest thing, but you get in with 2. No.
Yeah,
2, 3,
so
4. Only get in
attack
with 4.
for, presuming the Monstrous Rage 1 is blocked, it's all these other creatures are 2/2s.
Yeah. Well, the 2 new monks aren't, right?
They're 2/2s because of the equipped Quarry Steel Cutters.
Yes. Those do get
Wesley
moved.
found it.
He got
All
it.
right.
Gosh.
So that's Izzet Prowess and Wesley Hickman advancing to 8-0 in a tight match. I mean, that was down to it.
Yeah, I mean, that could have gone any which way, but Wesley managed to find the line there. And